this case, we may need to develop our rational, practical side in order to ground our intuition in the physical world. Owning our shadow side. There is a simple universal principle that everything in the universe wants to be accepted. All aspects of creation want to be loved, appreciated, and included. So, any quality or energy that you are not allowing yourself to experience or express will keep coming up inside of you or around you until you recognize it as a part of you, until you accept it and integrate it into your personality and your life. Many people who are involved in personal growth become very identified with the energies and qualities that they think of as being spiritual, peaceful, loving, giving, and so on. In attempting to develop these aspects of themselves, they often deny and disown other aspects that they consider to be and spiritual aggression, assertiveness, gut-level honesty, human vulnerability. Unfortunately, this simply creates a huge shadow side within them, which contributes to the collective shadow of denied energies in our world. For some, it can be quite shocking to realize that if we over-identify with peace and love and disown our inner warrior, we are not contributing to world peace. Quite the opposite, in fact. If we don't own our inner warrior and channel him in a constructive way in our lives, he retreats into the shadows of our individual and collective psyche and actually contributes to the perpetuation of war. If we truly want inner peace and world peace, we must do the difficult but fascinating work of owning and appreciating all aspects of who we are, truly making peace with ourselves. Real consciousness involves holding both sides of any polarity, not identifying with one. Exploring and embracing our darkness is the only way we can truly live in the light. Meditation. Get in a comfortable position in a quiet place. Bring to mind one of your main personality characteristics or primary selves. Get a sense in your body of how that energy feels. Now imagine an opposite energy, which may be disowned or less developed in you. Imagine what that energy would feel like. What would be the positive benefits of developing more ability to contact that energy? How could that bring more balance into your life? See if you can feel balance of both of those energies at the same time. For example, if you are an outgoing person, you might balance that with a quieter, more introspective energy. If you are hardworking, you might balance that with the energy of relaxation or playfulness. Chapter 6. The world is our mirror. The physical world is our creation, and we each create our own sign of the world, our particular reality, our unique life experience. Because I am creating my life, I can look at my creation to get feedback about myself, just as an artist looks at his latest creation to see what works well and what doesn't, and thereby improves his skills. We can look at the ongoing masterwork of our lives to appreciate who we are and to recognize what we still need to learn. We are creating our lives as we go along, therefore, our experiences give us an instant, ongoing reflection of ourselves. In fact, the external world is like a giant mirror that reflects our consciousness clearly and accurately. Once we have learned how to look into that mirror and perceive and interpret its reflection, we have a fabulous tool for self-awareness. Understanding that the world is our mirror can help us see our lives as a reflection of our beliefs, attitudes, and emotional patterns. Viewed in this way, the external world can teach us about hidden aspects of ourselves that we can't see directly. The process is based on two premises. 1. I assume that everything in my life is my reflection, my creation, that there are no accidents or events that are unrelated to me. I see or feel something. If it has any impact on me, then my soul has attracted or created it to show me something. If it didn't mirror some part of myself, I wouldn't even be able to see it. People in my life are reflections of the various characters and energies that live inside of me. 2. I always try to avoid putting myself down for the reflections I see. I know that nothing is negative. Everything is a gift that brings me to self-awareness. After all, I am here to learn. If I was already perfect, I wouldn't be here. What should I get angry at myself when I see things I've been unconscious of? It would be like a first grader getting frustrated because she wasn't in college yet. Try to maintain a compassionate attitude toward myself in my learning process. To the extent that I can do this, the learning process becomes fun and really quite interesting. I am learning to view my life as a fascinating and adventurous movie. All the characters in it are parts of me played out on the big screen so that I can clearly see them. Once I see them and recognize their various feelings and voices inside myself, I can understand that they are all important and valuable parts of me that I need for my full expression in this life. If the movie portrays problems, hassles, or struggles, I know I must check inside to find out where I'm not being true to myself or have more learning and healing to do. I also know that when I'm trusting and being myself as fully as possible, everything in my life reflects this by falling into place easily and working smoothly. Problems or messages. If there are problems in your life, the universe is trying to get your attention. It's saying, hey, there's something you need to be aware of, something that needs to be changed here. If you pay attention to the small signals, you will learn from them. But if you don't, the problems will intensify until you get the message and start to pay attention. If you accept that every time a problem occurs, the universe is showing you something, you will make rapid progress on your journey of self-discovery. When something negative happens, it's tempting to say, why does this happen to me? I'm doing the best I can, but nothing seems to be going right. I can't understand why I keep having this problem. If you find yourself doing this, open up to another way of looking at things. Go inside and say to the universe, I know you're trying to show me something. Help me understand what it is. After you do this, let go of focusing on it and go about your life, but stay open to the message that will be coming through. May come in the form of an inner feeling or awareness, some words from a friend, or something unexpected that happens to you. The message may come through immediately, or it may take quite a while. One of my clients was fired quite unexpectedly over 2 years ago. At first, he was devastated, but after a few months of getting his bearings, he went into business on his own. His business is now doing very well, but it was only a few weeks ago that he understood the message that his firing reflected. As he was talking to a friend about working for other people, he suddenly realized that the firing incident was trying to tell him that he was ready to be in business for himself rather than working for other people. For him, this realization not only affirmed his present course in life, but it also finally resolved the sense of failure about being fired that had lingered with him since the incident. Interpreting the reflection. The trickiest part of using the mirror process is learning how to interpret the reflection you see. Once you do get a message, but you're not quite sure what it is, how do you find out? It will not help to overanalyze or obsess about it with your rational mind. It is far more effective to turn to your intuitive self to ask the universe for help. Simply sit quietly, take a few deep breaths, and focus your awareness within to the wise part of you that is in touch with the wisdom of the universe. Ask this part, either silently or out loud, for guidance or help in understanding the message. As you tune into your gut feelings and get a sense of what feels right in the moment, act on this feeling. After acting on the feeling, try to be aware of the external and internal feedback from your actions. The external feedback is how well things work. Do things seem to fall into place and work easily? Then you're surely in tune with your inner guidance. If you're struggling to do something that doesn't happen easily, it's a message to let go and check back and to find out what you really want to be doing. Internal feedback will come to you as feelings. If you feel empowered, more alive, then it's right. The ultimate key is alive. The more the universe moves through you, the more alive you feel. Conversely, every time you don't follow your inner guidance, you feel loss of energy, loss of power, a sense of spiritual or emotional deadness. In being true to yourself, you will feel more alive, but you may also feel uncomfortable. This is because you are risking change. As you undergo certain changes, you may experience various intense emotions such as fear, grief, or anger. Allow these emotions expression. After all, your inner guidance has to move through years of accumulated unconsciousness, denial, doubt, and fear. So let your feelings come up and wash through you, or you are being cleaned out and healed. At times like this, it is very important to have emotional support in a safe place to explore your feelings and do your healing process. If possible, I recommend finding a good therapist or support group, an environment where you are encouraged and supported in experiencing your own feelings and needs. Expressing yourself honestly and trusting your own sense of what's right for you. When you are growing and changing rapidly, your inner doubts and fears will often be reflected in the reactions of those around you. If your friends and family question or judge the changes in you, recognize that they are simply mirroring the doubting, fearful voices in you, such as, what if I'm doing the wrong thing? Can I really trust this process? Respond to such feedback from others in whatever way you feel is appropriate to reassure them, ignore them, argue with them, whatever. The important thing is to recognize that you are really dealing with your own inner fears. The conflicts you may experience with others are mirroring the conflicts within yourself, between the parts of you that want to grow and change, and those that feel safer to do things the way you've always done them. Affirm that you are learning to trust yourself more and more. Will be amazed to see how frequently others will begin to mirror your increasing self-trust and confidence by responding to you with trust and confidence. Here are some ways that the mirror of life reflects us. If you judge and criticize yourself, others will judge and criticize you. If you hurt yourself, others will hurt you. If you lie to yourself, others will lie to you. If you are irresponsible to yourself, others will be irresponsible in relation to you. If you blame yourself, others will blame you. If you do violence to yourself emotionally, others will do violence to you emotionally or even physically. If you don't listen to your feelings, no one will listen to your feelings. If you love yourself, others will love you. If you respect yourself, others will respect you. If you trust yourself, others will trust you. If you are honest with yourself, others will be honest with you. If you are gentle and compassionate with yourself, others will treat you with compassion. If you appreciate yourself, others will appreciate you. If you honor yourself, others will honor you. If you enjoy yourself, others will enjoy you. Changing old patterns. It's very important to realize that you may not be able to change your old patterns overnight. Sometimes things seem to change rapidly once you've recognized the message. But sometimes it seems like you keep doing the same thing and getting the same unpleasant results long after you feel you know better. It takes time for the personality to change its habits, so you may have to watch the same old movie repeat itself a few more times. If you feel your progress is too slow, ask the universe for help and reach out for human help as well by finding a therapist or support group. Change happens not by trying to make yourself change, but by becoming conscious of what's not working. You can then ask your higher self for help in releasing the old and bringing in the new pattern. Remember, the darkest hour is just before the dawn. Of change often occurs just when you've given up or when you least expect it. Using the mirror process. In using the world as your mirror, you must deal with the external realities of your life in whatever way you need to handle them, but as soon as possible, before, during, or after you deal with the externals, check inside to find out what is being shown to you. For example, if someone is angry at you and blames or criticizes you, you may need to say to them, "Stop blaming me. I don't want to hear your judgments and criticisms of me. If you can talk about your own feelings, I'll be glad to listen. But if you keep attacking me, I'm going to leave." If they take more responsibility for their feelings, for example, "I felt hurt and angry when you didn't call me yesterday," then you will probably be able to continue the conversation on a more productive level. If they continue to blame you and focus on your faults, you may need to support yourself by walking out of the room and refusing to continue the conversation until they stop their attack. Either way, you have handled the external situation. Now, as soon as you get a chance, check inside yourself and ask, "I wonder what this person's anger is mirroring in me." You may realize that you have been feeling very angry and critical toward yourself lately. Or perhaps you will discover that a part of you is upset because you haven't been paying enough attention to yourself. When other people want more from you, it's usually an indication that you want more from yourself. It may in fact be a signal that it's time to show up and be more present with your own needs and feelings. Interestingly, other people in our lives often start feeling better when we become more present with ourselves. A friend of mine discovered that her boyfriend had been seeing another woman and lying to her about it. She was very hurt and angry, particularly to discover the dishonesty. They had a long talk in which she was able to express her feelings to him. Some time alone for a while to sort things out on her own. When she was alone, she asked herself, "Is there some way I'm lying to myself? Some way I'm not being totally truthful and honest with myself that would cause me to attract a dishonest man?" As she let go of thinking about it and went to work, by the end of the day, she realized she had often felt this man was not fully present with her, was not being real with her, but in the past, she had denied and covered up these feelings because she was afraid to confront him with what she felt and intuitively knew. Thus, she effectively lied to herself and supported him in his deceptions as well. She realized this was a lesson in learning to trust her feelings more and to have the courage to express and support them. Started to do this more with her boyfriend, and they eventually worked at a more honest, communicative relationship. She might also have chosen not to continue the relationship. What matters is that she received the gift from it of learning to trust and express her feelings. If you are emotionally triggered by something a person does, the two of you are probably mirrors for each other. It may appear that you have opposing viewpoints, but internally you are probably similar. One of you is acting out one side of the internal conflict, while the other plays out the other side. For example, one person may want more commitment in a relationship, while the other wants more freedom. They become extremely polarized on this issue and truly believe they want opposite things. However, if one person suddenly switches her position, the one who wanted commitment suddenly wants freedom, the other person often swings to the opposite polarity. The reason for this is that they are attempting to resolve an inner conflict. They both have the desire for closeness and security, and the need for independence and autonomy, which may feel like the fear of loneliness versus the fear of entrapment. Once people look inside and become more aware of their feelings, they often recognize that they have simply projected their inner conflict onto the outside world so that they could recognize and deal with it. If a person truly and unequivocally wants a calm, committed relationship, he will simply attract another person who wants the same thing. If someone feels completely clear about wanting to explore being with many partners, he simply does it. Using the mirror process, you can recognize what you really feel and learn to be more honest with yourself. Internal conflict. You can acknowledge that both polarities are really within you and find ways to honor both of the energies. For example, we all contain the polarities of desiring closeness in relationships while also desiring independence and autonomy. As conscious beings, we must learn to satisfy both these needs. Honoring both of these energies within us, we can learn to create relationships in which we have both closeness and independence. Seeing the world as your mirror also gives you wonderful opportunities to receive positive feedback. Think of everything that you like and enjoy about your life right now. You created these things, they're also your mirrors. Think of the people you know whom you love, enjoy, respect, and admire. They are your mirrors. They couldn't even be in your life if they didn't reflect you. You would not be able to recognize their positive qualities if you didn't have similar ones. Think of the people and animals that love you. They are a mirror of how you love yourself. If you have a home that you love, or a particular spot in nature that is very beautiful to you, it is a mirror of your own beauty. When you see beauty anywhere, it's a reflection of yourself. There are mirrors everywhere. Whoever you have a connection with is a mirror for you, and the deeper the connection, the stronger the mirror. Part of the fascination in using the mirror process is discovering who we are through these external reflections. The key is to always go back inside to discover the meaning of the reflection for you. The more you are willing to do that, without either rationalizing away what you see or blaming yourself for it, the faster you can develop and express the multifaceted potential within you. Meditation. Relax and close your eyes. Take a few deep, slow breaths and move into a deep place inside of you. Bring to your mind an important person or thing in your life and ask him or it what it is mirroring to you. Stay open to receiving the answer, whether it comes in words, feelings, or images. It may come immediately or some time later. Exercises. 1. Think of a person you especially love and admire. List all their positive qualities. Think about how those qualities mirror you. In some cases, they may be qualities you have not fully developed in yourself. Recognize that this person is here to teach and inspire you by his or her example. 2. Make a list of the things and people in your life that you especially like. Praise and appreciate yourself for creating and attracting these mirrors. 3. Think of someone whom you judge or feel uncomfortable with. Try to figure out exactly what quality they have that you dislike. Is it possible that this is a quality within yourself that you deny or judge, and that your life could be enhanced if you made peace with and were able to express that part of yourself? For example, if you dislike someone who appears very selfish, they may be reflecting the disowned part of you that wants you to pay more attention to taking care of your own needs. Perhaps you are overly identified with taking care of others. Chapter 7. Spirit and Form. Spirit is the essence of life, the energy of the universe that creates all things. Each one of us is a part of that spirit, a divine entity. So the spirit is the higher self, the eternal being that lives within us. Form is the physical world. As an individual, my form is my physical body and my personality, which includes my mind and my emotions. It is also my self-concept or my ego identity structure. My name is Shakti Gawain. I was born on September 30, 1948. I'm very tall. I am intelligent and have a generally outgoing personality. This is all information about my form. We, as spiritual beings, created the physical world as a place to learn, It's our school, our playground, our artist's studio. I believe that we are here to master the process of creation and to learn how to integrate all levels of our being, the spiritual, mental, emotional, and physical, so that we can live in the physical world in balance and wholeness. Physicists are now discovering what metaphysicians have claimed for thousands of years as seemingly solid physical matter is, in reality, made of energy. If we look through a powerful microscope at anything solid, we see an infinite number of little vibrating particles. If we closely examine one of these particles, we discover that it is made of even smaller particles, and so on. Fact is that everything physical is made of energy, which we can also call life force or spirit. So modern science supports the ancient metaphysical truth that form is created out of spirit. When our spirit decides to manifest as physical form, the first thing it creates is a physical body in which to house itself. Choose a life situation and create a body in accordance with what we feel will best serve and teach us in this lifetime. Ultimately, our goal is to create a body personality that can fully express our divine creative spirit, a form that can do everything our spirit wants to do, easily, skillfully, and beautifully. However, our physical form, a body personality, has an important job of its own to do. Its main responsibility is to make sure that we survive physically, and once that is assured, that we actually thrive physically and emotionally in this life. So our forms have a certain consciousness that revolves around making sure we get enough food and shelter, protecting ourselves from danger, gaining a sense of security by making sure reproduction takes place and offspring survive, creating family and community in which we can give and receive the emotional nurturing we need, and finding a sense of belonging. The energy of our spirit is very different from that of our form. Our spirit has a very expanded vision and perspective, very little understanding of what it means to be in a human form. Our form carries our human experience, with all its limitations and vulnerabilities, and also with the knowledge of how to live in the physical world. After we are born into the body, most of us forget who we are on the spiritual level and why we came here. We take on the survival consciousness of the physical world and we get lost in the world of form. We forget that we are souls, believing we are just our personalities. We lose touch with our source of power and feel lost and helpless. Life becomes a tremendous struggle to find meaning and satisfaction. We may spend many lifetimes caught up in this cycle. Certainly, most of us have spent many years in this lifetime looking outside ourselves, trying to find fulfillment in the world of form. Eventually, we realize that it's not working, and no matter what we do in the world, we don't find profound happiness. We become unwilling to spend one more lifetime, one more year, or even one more minute in futile struggle, in frustration and hopelessness. Give up. This is usually a painful and frightening place in a person's life that feels like hitting bottom. Identity, when the form recognizes the hopelessness of trying to live this way and surrenders its fight, it would rather die than keep trying. At this time, a person often has thoughts and feelings of death, or may experience the death of a close friend or family member, or several of them. Some people create a serious illness, accident, or other major crisis at this time, and some contemplate or even attempt suicide. But the darkest hour is truly just before the dawn, when we finally give up the struggle to find fulfillment out there. We have nowhere to go but within. It is at this moment of total surrender that a new light begins to dawn. When we give up our old way of doing things, we create space for a new energy to come through. This is like being reborn. We are infants in this new world and have no idea how to live, since none of our old ways work here. Feel uncertain and out of control. Yet hope is reborn in us. New power and vision start to come through. This can be the beginning of developing a form that is conscious of and integrated with our spirit. Ram Dass has a beautiful analogy for this process. He likens it to a clock, where 12:00 is the starting point. From 12:00 to 3:00, life is totally lost in the world of form. From 3:00 to 6:00 is gradual disillusionment with the world, and 6:00 is where you hit bottom. You feel that you lose everything, but as you pass through 6:00, you are actually waking up to reconnecting with spirit. From 6:00 back up to 12:00 is ever-increasing integration of spirit and form. As individuals, we are at various stages in this process, a sense that we each have one major cycle of this type lasting over many physical lifetimes, and we also have an infinite number of minor cycles, sometimes almost daily. When we, as individuals, first rediscover our spirit, we are usually drawn to nurture and cultivate this awareness. This often involves withdrawing from the world to one degree or another, and going within, For some people, this takes the form of spending time in nature. For some, it involves practicing meditation, going to retreats, and so forth. Or for some, it may be simply finding time to be alone and quiet. Often it's a time of partial or complete withdrawal from relationships, work, and or other attachments that tend to pull us outside of ourselves. For some, only a few weeks or months. Each of us is unique, so we all experience this shift within in different ways. In one way or another, learn to go inside and be in that quieter place in ourselves for a while. There we find a deeper and deeper connection with our spirit. While we are deeply connected with ourselves in this way, often find that we have a feeling of clarity, vision, wisdom, power, and love. This is because in that moment, we are connected with the expansive energy of spirit and not distracted by the problems and responsibilities of dealing with the world of form. If we choose to follow one of the traditional spiritual paths, we may remain more or less withdrawn from the world. In this way, we can be true to our spirit and avoid dealing with the attachments and patterns of our form. Unfortunately, we never have the opportunity to fully integrate spirit and form. In order to create the new world, we are being challenged to move out into the world of form with full spiritual awareness, need to recognize the differences between our spirit and our form, and learn to integrate them. Integrating spirit and form. The first step in the process of consciously integrating form and spirit is to be able to recognize and feel both the consciousness of your spirit and the consciousness of your form. You may be accustomed to feeling only one of them most of the time, with occasional flashes of the other. Or you may flip back and forth frequently between the two perspectives. It's as if one takes control of the body for a while and you see things from that viewpoint. Then the other one takes over and suddenly everything looks quite different. This understanding can explain a lot of things that many of us are experiencing in our lives. Why is it that we have wonderful moments of consciousness and clarity, and then find we have completely lost our perspective and become immersed in fear and pain? Again, how is it that we can feel so loving, wise, and accepting one day, the next day feel so angry, foolish, and judgmental? Why did we feel like we'd really gotten it at a workshop and then seem to lose it the next day? How is it that we can feel so peaceful and unattached when we are meditating, yet often our relationships seem like a worse mess than ever? And how come we have such trust in the abundance of the universe, but we are still having financial problems? The answer is simple. We are dealing with the discrepancies between spirit and form. This is a very difficult thing to confront, and we are facing a real challenge. Many people reach this point and have a hard time going any further. For example, I frequently get inspiring, creative ideas for a new project I want to do. I get a very strong vision of how wonderful it will be and how it can work. All this is coming from my spirit. Of course, I get very excited and jump into the project, making all kinds of plans and initiating many actions in that direction. A few days or weeks later, I find myself feeling totally overwhelmed, overworked, frustrated, and ready to throw the whole thing out the window. My spirit had a true vision, but I was trying to achieve it without regard to the needs of my human form. At this point, I have to stop and consider what's realistic for me, then set the project aside for a while, or allow it to take longer and develop more slowly. My spirit tends to race ahead, so it has to learn to go at the pace my form can handle. The second step is to love and accept both aspects of yourself. They are both beautiful and vital parts of you. Without your spirit, you wouldn't be alive, you'd only be a dead body. Without your form, you wouldn't be able to be in this world, you'd be existing in some other realm of consciousness. It may be frustrating at times to see that your form can't live up to all the ideals that your spirit may have. It's important to recognize that our form has its own wisdom and the spirit can learn from the form, just as the reverse is true. After all, we chose to come to this plane of existence in order to experience being human. For example, many years ago I was living with a man and we had an open relationship, or in other words, we were free to be with lovers. I had a strong spiritual ideal that I could love someone deeply and allow him to be free to follow energy he might feel with someone else, while I was free to do likewise. Sometimes I was able to do this briefly, and I had some beautiful moments where I felt an expansive and exhilarating unconditional love. Most of the time I was overwhelmed with jealousy and emotional pain. I finally realized that my spiritual ideal simply did not fit the reality of my human feelings and needs. It became very clear to me that I could only experience the kind of emotional intimacy that I wanted in a monogamous relationship. One important key to integrating spirit and form is learning to listen to your intuition and act on it. Your inner guidance will always move you in the direction of greater balance and an integration between form and spirit. Even in the process of learning to trust your inner guidance, however, you can't move faster than your form is ready to go. Here is a very important point: you cannot force your form to trust and follow intuition through will. You must allow it to educate itself through conscious observation. In other words, you can't force yourself to always follow your intuitive feelings, even though you desire to live that way. Times it may seem like too big a risk, even though your spirit knows it would work out. Your form is too afraid to do it. Don't push yourself past what you are ready to do. Simply observe the process and be honest with yourself about how it feels and what happens. Then, the change will happen naturally and spontaneously. For example, suppose you are with a friend and there's something you want to say, but you are afraid to do so for fear your friend will get hurt or angry and reject you. If you find you do have the courage, go ahead and say what you feel, and observe what happens and how you feel as a result. Chances are good that you will feel energized and empowered by the experience. If, on the other hand, you are too afraid to speak the truth, don't try to push yourself past your fear. Again, simply observe yourself being with your friend and not being totally yourself. Notice that you feel deadness and loss of energy. You may also feel resentful toward your friend. Try not to judge yourself for your lack of action. Remember, this is a learning process. The spirit usually tends toward expansiveness, risk-taking. Change, the form often tends toward what it perceives to be safe, security, and the status quo, because its basic task is to make sure we survive, and it fears that change might mean disaster or death. If you are able to observe yourself without rationalization or judgment, you will begin to notice that when you trust yourself and follow your energy fully, you feel better. Conversely, when you are controlled by old patterns of fear and holding back, you feel worse. After a while, your form gets the message clearly and begins to spontaneously follow the energy instead of the old pattern, because it knows it will feel better. Eventually, you have a form that automatically goes for the most alive energy in every situation, without having to think about it and control it. In this process of learning to trust yourself, many old feelings and deep emotional patterns will come to the surface to be healed and released. This is a very important part of it and must be allowed to happen. Old memories and experiences may be triggered. Feelings of sadness, fear, pain, guilt, and rage may come up. Allow yourself to feel all of it. Allow it to wash through you. It will be released. It is being cleared out of your form. As the light of spirit penetrates every cell of your body, it dispels the darkness. As you learn to consciously observe the transformation process, you will watch yourself repeating a lot of old patterns long after you seemingly know better. Spiritually and intellectually, you realize there is another way, but emotionally, you are still clinging to the old habits. This is a difficult time. Try to be patient and compassionate with yourself when you recognize the futility of an old pattern so clearly. It's about to change. A short time later, you will suddenly begin to respond differently, in a more positive way. As you do the work of integrating spirit and form, you may see your physical body change and become lighter, stronger, more clearly defined, healthier, and more beautiful, because your life is your creation and the mirror of your transformation. All the forms in your life, with your work, money, car, house, relationships, community, the world will increasingly express the power and beauty of your spirit. Meditation. Get comfortable, relax, and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and relax your body and mind completely. Allow your conscious awareness to move into a deep, quiet place within you. Imagine that there is a beautiful golden light radiating from a place deep within you. It begins to grow and expand until it fills your entire body. It's very powerful, and as it fills you, it penetrates into every cell of your body, literally waking up each molecule to the light. Imagine your entire body glowing and radiating with this light. Then see and feel your body being transformed, with becoming healthier, stronger, and more beautiful. Imagine everything else in your life being similarly transformed. Exercise. See if you can observe yourself non-judgmentally and notice when you are able to listen to your intuitive feelings and act on them, and when you are not. Observe how you feel and what happens in each of these situations. Ask your higher power to help you learn to trust and follow your energy more and more. Chapter 8. The male and female within. Each of us has male and female energies within us. I believe that one of the most important challenges we have in this world is to develop these energies fully, so they can interact in harmony with each other. The Eastern philosophies have always included the concept of yin, a feminine receptiva, and yang, a masculine activa, and have said that everything in the universe is made up of these two forces. In the West, Carl Jung did pioneering and exciting work with his concept of the anima and the animus. He explained that men have a feminine side anima and women have a masculine side animusa, that most of us have strongly repressed these aspects of ourselves, and that we must learn to come to terms with them. He and his followers have done wonderful work using dreams, myths, and symbols to help men and women reclaim the lost, denied parts of themselves. Many other philosophers, psychologists, poets, playwrights, and artists have expressed the ideas of masculine and feminine energies within ourselves and within everything. As I mentioned in the introduction, the person who helped me the most to understand the male and female within was Shirley Luffman. Her ideas in this area were so clear, simple, and profound they literally began to revolutionize my life. I found that this concept provided me with a powerful tool. I could look at just about anything in my life or in the world from the perspective of male-female energies and understand what was really going on so much better. I began to adapt and reinterpret the ideas I'd learned from Eastern philosophy, Jung, and Luffman in my own way and incorporate them into my own metaphor. I have found that wherever I go, when I start to share this metaphor with people, really light up. They have the same reaction I did. It makes so many things so clear. Some people have resistance to the words female and male because in our culture we have so many preconceived ideas about what those words mean. So much emotional charge associated with them. If it's more comfortable for you, substitute the words yin and yang, active and receptive, dynamic and magnetic, or any other words that appeal to you. Male and female. I think of our female aspect as our intuitive self. This is the deepest, wisest part of ourselves. This is the feminine energy. For men or women, it is the receptive aspect, the open door through which the higher intelligence of the universe can flow, the receiving end of the channel. Our female communicates to us through our intuition with those inner promptings, gut feelings, or images that come from a deep place within us. If we don't pay conscious attention to her in our waking life, she attempts to reach us through our dreams, our emotions, and our physical body. She is the source of higher wisdom within us, and if we learn to listen carefully to her, moment by moment, she will guide us perfectly. The male aspect is action, our ability to do things in the physical world, to think, to speak, to move our bodies. Again, whether you are a man or a woman, your masculine energy is your ability to act. It is the outflowing end of the channel. The feminine receives the universal creative energy, and the masculine expresses it in the world through action. Thus, we have the creative process. Our female is inspired by a creative impulse and communicates it to us through a feeling, and our male acts on it by speaking, moving, or doing whatever is appropriate. For example, an artist might awaken with an inspired idea for a painting, an image communicated from his female and immediately go into his studio, pick up his brush, and begin painting. Action taken by his male. A mother might feel sudden concern for her child, a warning from her inner female, and run into the other room and pull the child away from a hot stove. Action taken by her male. A business person might have an impulse to contact a certain associate, guidance from his or her female, make a call of action taken by his or her male, and put together a new deal. In each case, where the male and female within were in creative union, there was a creative result of painting, saving the child, business enterprise. Even the simple sequence of feeling hungry, going to the kitchen, and fixing a meal illustrates the same process. The union of feminine and masculine energies within the individual is the basis of all creation. Our female intuition plus our male action equals creativity. In order to live a harmonious and creative life, you need to have both your inner female and male energies fully developed and functioning correctly together. To fully integrate the inner male and female, you need to put the female in the guiding position, her natural function. She is your intuition, the door to your higher intelligence. Your male listens to her and acts on her feelings. The true function of male energy is absolute clarity, directness, and a passionate strength based on what the universe inside of you coming through your female tells you. The female says, I feel this. He says, I hear your feelings. What would you like me to do? She says, I want that. He says, you want that? Okay, great. I'll get it for you. And he goes direct. Lie to get it for her, trusting that in her desire is the wisdom of the universe. Remember now that I am talking about an internal process in each of us. Sometimes people externalize this idea and think I'm saying that men should let women tell them what to do. What I'm actually saying is that we each need to let our intuition guide us and then be willing to follow that guidance directly and fearlessly. The nature of the feminine is wisdom, love, and clear vision, expressed through feeling and desire. The male nature is all out, risk-taking action in service to the feminine, much like the chivalrous knight and his lady. Through his surrender to her and his action on her behalf, male energy builds a personality structure within us that protects and honors the sensitive energy of our intuitive female. I often imagine my male as standing behind my female, supporting, protecting, and backing her up. For a man, the image might be reversed, where you might see your female as within or behind you, guiding, empowering, nurturing, and supporting you. When these two energies are thus in harmony and working together, it's an incredible feeling, a strong, open, creative channel with power, wisdom, peace, and love flowing through the old male and the old female. Unfortunately, most of us have not yet learned how to allow our male and female energies to function naturally in the proper relationship with each other. In our patriarchal culture, we have used our male energy, our ability to think and act, to suppress and control our feminine intuition, rather than to support and express her. I call this traditional use of the male energy the old male, and it exists equally in men and women, although it is often more obvious and external. In men, more subtle and internal in women. The old male is that part of us that wants to keep control, is terrified of our feminine power because he doesn't want to surrender to the power of the universe. He is afraid that if he surrenders, he will lose his individual identity. He holds on to individuality and separateness at any cost. Therefore, he denies the power of the feminine, which is a force moving toward union and oneness. In relationship with the old male, the female is helpless in the world. Her power cannot move directly into the physical world. Without the support of the male's action, her power is suppressed and must come out indirectly through manipulative patterns or physical illnesses, or in sudden and focused ways such as emotional outbursts. You can see that men and women have played out these roles externally. In the traditional male role, men are taught to deny and suppress their inner female, to be machine-like, unemotional, total, line control, and perceive toward women as secretly. They may be terrified of women because women remind them of the power of their inner feminine side, which they are busy denying. Because Sidra Stone has written a fascinating book exploring the hidden patriarchal voice in women, called The Shadow King. See recommended resources. They are cut off from their internal power source. They really feel very alone and lost. In the traditional female role, a woman also learns to use her male energy to deny and suppress her feminine power. This leaves her helpless, dependent on men, and able to express her power only indirectly through manipulation. She may be afraid that if men found out how powerful she is, they would abandon her, so she carefully keeps her power hidden, perhaps even from herself. It's important to realize that both the old male and the old female exist in each sex. A woman who is expressing herself in the traditional way described above has a controlling, macho, old male inside her, suppressing her. She will tend to attract men who mirror this male personality and will act it out in their behavior toward her. This behavior may range from paternalistic and chauvinistic to verbally and physically abusive, depending on how the woman treats herself and what she believes she deserves. Once she begins to trust and love herself more and starts to use her internal male energy to support herself, the behavior of the men in her life will reflect that shift. They will either change dramatically and continue to change as she does, or they will disappear from her life, to be replaced by men who are supportive and appreciative of her, will mirror her new attitude toward herself. I've seen this happen many times. The traditional macho man has a helpless female voice inside of him desperately trying to be heard. He will tend to attract women who have a low self-image and are clingy and needy, or who express their power indirectly through manipulation. A little girl, cuteness, sexual seductiveness, cattiness, or dishonesty. Women reflect his lack of trust and respect for his inner female by not trusting and respecting themselves, by opening to and trusting his own feminine nature. He'll find within himself the nurturing support and connection he's been lacking. The women in his life will mirror this shift by becoming stronger, more independent, more direct and honest, and more genuinely loving and nurturing. The new male and the new female. The feminine power, the power of the spirit, is always within us. It is up to our male energy to determine how we relate to that power. We can either fight it, block it, attempt to control it, and try to keep ourselves separate from it, or we can surrender and open to it, learn to support it, and move with it. Individually and collectively, we are shifting from a position of fear and control into surrender and trust of the intuitive power of the feminine energy is on the rise in our world, emerges within us, and we acknowledge and surrender to her. Old male within us is transformed. He emerges, birth through the female, as the new male of the one who goes on in his trust and love for her. He must grow to become her equal in power so that they can be the partners they are meant to be. I believe that the new male has been truly birthed in our consciousness only within the last few years. Before that, we had little experience in our bodies of the true male energy. Our only concept of male was the old patriarchal male energy divorced from the feminine. The birth of the new male is synonymous with the birth of the new age. The new world is being built within us and mirrored around us as the new male, a physical form, emerges in all his glory from the feminine power of spirit and energy. Every now and then I do a visualization process in which I ask for an image of my male and female. Each time I do it, I receive something a little different that teaches me something new. Sharing with you one of the most powerful images, because it is such a dramatic illustration of one aspect of the relationship between inner female and male. My female energy appeared as a beautiful, radiant queen, glowing with love and light. She was being carried through the streets on a litter borne by several carriers. The people were lining the streets, waiting for an opportunity to see her, tiffle open, and loving that as she passed by, waving, smiling, and throwing kisses to people. They were instantly healed of any pain or limitation. By her side walked a samurai warrior carrying a sword. Was my male energy. It was well understood by everyone that if anyone made a threatening move toward the queen, he would instantly raise his sword and ruthlessly cut down the offender. Knowing this, naturally, no one dared to harm her. He was willing to be absolutely unhesitating in his trust of his own judgment and his own response, which left her completely safe and protected, feeling totally safe. Having no need to hide or defend herself, she was free to be completely open, soft, and loving, and to give her gifts freely and generously to all around her. Meditation. Sit or lie down in a comfortable position and close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths and relax your body and mind complete. Allow your conscious awareness to move into a quiet place within you. Now bring to your mind an image that represents your inner female. This image could be an actual person, an animal, or it could be something more abstract, an energy, a color or shape, or simply a feeling. Spontaneously take whatever comes to you. Take a look at your female and get a sense or a feeling of what she represents to you. Notice some of the details of the image. Notice the colors and textures. Notice how you feel about her. Ask her if she has anything she would like to say to you right now. Allow yourself to receive her communication, which may or may not be in words. You may also ask her any questions you have. There may be something you want to know from her. Receive her communication to you, whether it comes in words, a feeling, or an image. Once you have allowed yourself to receive her communication, and you feel complete for this moment, take a deep breath and release her image from your mind. Come back to a quiet, still place. Now draw to mind an image that represents your male self. Again, take what image comes to you. It could be an image of an actual man, or it could be some abstract symbol or color. Explore this image. Begin to notice the details of it. Notice its colors and texture. Notice how you feel about him. Then ask him if he has anything to communicate to you at this time. Be receptive to receiving his communication, whether it is in words or some other form. If you have anything you want to ask him, do this now. Open to any words or images you may receive. If an answer doesn't come to you immediately, know that it will come later. Once you feel complete with your communication with him, release his image from your mind. Come again to a quiet place inside. Now ask for the images of both your male and female to come to you at the same time. See how they relate to one another. Are they in relationship to one another, or are they separate? If they are in relationship to one another, how do they relate? Ask them if they have anything they would like to communicate to one another or to you. Stay open to what comes to you in words, images, or feelings. If you have anything you'd like to say to them or ask them, do that now. When you feel complete, once again take a deep breath and release their images from your mind. Come back to a quiet, still place inside. Exercise. Close your eyes and contact your female intuitive voice. Or what she wants. Is there a gift she desires or something she wants to say or do? When she has told you what she wants, imagine your new male supporting her desire. See him taking whatever necessary action to honor her need and desire. When you open your eyes, Do your best to follow whatever you feel your intuition wants you to do. Chapter 9. Men and women. We all instinctively understand the basic functions of feminine and masculine energies, but we may not realize that they both exist in each person. More often, we tend to associate male and female energies with their respective body types. Thus, women have become the symbols of female energy. Traditionally, women have developed and expressed receptivity, nurturing, intuition, sensitivity, and emotion. In the past, many women more or less repressed assertiveness, direct action, intellect, and the ability to function effectively and strongly in the world. Likewise, men have become the symbols of male energy. Traditionally, they have developed their ability to act in the world strongly, directly, assertively, and aggressively. Many men repressed and denied their intuition, emotional feelings, sensitivity, and nurturing. As we cannot live in the world without the full range of masculine and feminine energies, each sex has been helplessly dependent on the other half for its survival. From this perspective, each person is only half a person, dependent on their other half for its very existence. Men have desperately needed women to provide them with the nurturing, intuitive wisdom, and emotional support, without which they unconsciously know they would die. Women have been dependent on men to take care of them and provide for them in the physical world, where they haven't known how to take care of themselves. It might seem like a perfectly workable arrangement of men help women, women help men, except for one underlying problem as an individual. If you don't feel whole, if you feel your survival depends on another person, you are constantly afraid of losing them. What if that person dies or goes away, or then you die too? Unless you can find another such person who is willing to take care of you, of course, something might happen to that person. Also, thus, life becomes a constant state of fear in which the other person is merely an object for you or your supply of love or protection. You must control that source at any cost, either directly, by force or superior strength, or indirectly using various manipulations. Generally, this happens subtly. I'll give you what you need, so you will be just as dependent on me as I am on you, so you will keep giving me what I need. So our relationships have been based on dependency and the need to control the other person. Inevitably, this leads to resentment and anger, most of which we repress because it would be too dangerous to express it and risk losing the other person. Repressing of all these feelings leads to dullness and deadness. Is one reason why so many relationships start off exciting. Wow, I think I've found someone who can really fulfill my needs, and end up either filled with anger or relatively dull and boring. They aren't fulfilling my needs nearly as well as I had hoped, and I've lost my own identity in the process. But I'm afraid to let go for fear I'll die without this person. Finding the balance. In recent times, of course, the strongly separated roles of men and women have begun to shift. In the last 2 generations, increasing numbers of women are exploring and expressing their abilities to act in the world. At the same time, a growing number of men have been looking within themselves and learning to open to their feelings and intuition. I believe this is happening because we have reached a dead-end street with our old world relationships and externalized concepts of masculine and feminine. The old models and ways of doing things are too limiting for us now, and we have not yet evolved effective patterns to take their place. It's a period of chaos and confusion, pain and insecurity, but also of tremendous growth. We are making a leap into the new world. I believe that